Okay, guys, let's continue with this session. And here we're going to be talking about version control, which is pretty much how in a company people get to work in team and share their contribute in the code that they are writing. So the idea of the version controlling is going to be a little bit like the one we saw with Docker, like on Docker Hub. So basically, as we have all the different images that a company can build here, we know that this is going to be like the registry, and this is the Docker registry. And here, maybe like this company, like Gotland or maybe Python, that's going to be their directory. So you're going to go under the Python directory, and in there you're going to see all the different image that they have here, or inside the directory. Now you're going to see all the tags. The idea is a little bit same when it's come to GitHub. So this one is going to be like the remote server. So pretty much where all the code are being stored for the company. So like when the company going to write a code or whatever what they write, people are always saving their code on top of here. How do I do to go anywhere and see whatever what project? But people save all the project that they work on Git actually. So for example, if I go on this particular project for this guy that I pretty much don't know, this is going to be like the project that he's working on. And here you see like people are contributing to the project that he's having. In the company, it's going to be like a private repository, a private folder for the company where they're going to be putting all the code and people can contribute. This is like a GitHub as a remote one. Me personally, I like to use a Bitbucket the most, which is the same thing. It's just like a remote repository where all the different code are being saved depending of what project you are working on. People can contribute on what you are doing as a project back and forth. So this one is the remote repository online, and sometime the company going to start a project for you and they're going to give you the URL on what you need to commit on. So this is not something that you will be creating unless you're supposed to be creating that on the in the company actually. But most of the time they're just going to provide you with the URL, and you're going to copy the URL and just try to contribute into the project. Just simple as that. So for this case here, we're going to play maybe with this project. Before we get there, let's configure our local Git environment. So on our machine like this one that we created here, let's do install Git. It's just simple as that. So you do DNS, that's why install Git, and also want to install Vim, which is the one that I like to use the most. Just simple like this, and it's being installed, and you just are gonna have to do a basic configuration of our level. Since we are just learning, let's double check what is going to be the configuration first. And here you do a git config dash list. So dash show origin. So we see that we have nothing configured yet. So the idea of configuring is that every time that you're going to want to push, or either mainly to push back what you are working on as a project here, they need to know who is contributing on that project, and we can see like if the code that you are writing doesn't have a problem in there, if the code is not corrupted, or at least what they need to track you to know who is sending that information. And here I need to provide my information that I use to log in. And I believe here that information is going to be, I do a git config and then dash dash globally. So that's global meaning, oh, as the name say, whatever way I will be working on it, I'm going to need that. And here I'm setting up the name of the user, and the name of the user here, I want to define it as Troisième. I think it doesn't matter whatever what you put as a name, but at least you got to put something so that we know who is going to be cloning and pushing from that repository. And then the next thing, you need to put an email, git config dash dash global. So that email is going to be set up globally. Also user email, and here you provide the name of your email, LAGA. LAGA. Yes. And since I will be using a Git, I think by default Git come with a Nano, which is another file editor, but here I want to use a Git. So for that, I need to do a Git config again. And then I'm doing still a dash dash global, and as a core.editor. And here I'm specifying that I want it to be Vim for me. So we can double check again what we had as a configuration. Those are the elements that we have defined here, and this is where the file is located on the root, under the git config. Since I'm here, I'm connecting as a root user. So since I have already that, to connect to the remote server, we need to use the SSH key, and that generate here by doing a SSH key generator, and with generate that key easily. And let's do a cat onto dot SSH ID dot pub. So basically, I'm going to take this key that was generated over here, and I'm trying to put that key into my Bitbucket account to make it easy for authentication when when I'm going to try to connect over there. So here I'm adding a key. So actually the key end up over here until the equal the the root git is just for me to know what is the key that I'm using to identify if I'm moving from one place to another, or depending of what I'm doing, just to make it easy to remember. So I'm adding the key. So since we just add the key, what we need to do here is go back on one of our projects and take one of those things to play with AWS question. So as I come here, I need to clone. Let me take this project down to my computer. So as I'm taking it, I need to come back here. Let's say I want to put all my project into a folder that I'm going to call repos. So cd into repos to be organized. It's just a way for me how I'm trying to organize. Like let's say I might create in here like a folder for like all the project that would be related to Docker. I will have another folder for project related to Ansible, another project for, it's just going to be all over the place depending of what I'm working on exactly. So here I'm just pasting that repository that I cloned, and I'm pressing enter. It's the first time that those two machines are connecting, and I'm saying yes. And if I do LL here, I will see that I just copied that folder that is called aws.question. So inside this repository, I'm here inside a repo, right? If we do pwd, it's going to be /b/repo. If I do ls-a, just see like here I'm inside a normal file. There's nothing major in there. But if I cd into AWS and then I do another ls-a, here we see that we have a .git. This .git is the one that is showing you like this file that we are inside is actually a Git repository that we are playing, or that we are, going to be writing our code inside. And it's just as simple as easy while working with Git. And for today, I want us to be more familiar with, let's say, 4 commands. Right? At least 4 or 5 commands. As a beginner, you need to master this 4 or 5 commands. It's going to be enough for you to step in the game and be able to contribute on a particular project. So the first one will be git status. Here, as I'm doing a git status, it's showing me that everything here is clean. I have nothing going on in this branch. I haven't started doing any work yet. But let's say I just want to create a empty file that I'm going to call, let's say file1, just for fun, right? And inside the file1 over here, I need to enter message, we are working on Git, sample message. So now if I do again that git status, at this point, it's going to see that the file1 was created, and if you look at the message, it said the file is on track, meaning our local Git on our machine see that there's a file that is created, but the file is there. I got no business about it. I just see him, but I don't, I don't pay attention to him. I know that he's there. So now if I want our local Git to start paying attention to it, just give you the message here. You need to do a git add, right? This is another command that we need to get familiar. So if I do git add, I need to put a period. The period here just means whatever, if I had like a 10,000 file in this directory here, it would add all the file. But if I want to mention a particular file, I need to give the name of the particular file. So I would have put just one here if I only want to add one on the project I'm working on. So git add, as I'm adding it, and if I do again a git status, now the color has changed. Git saying like, yeah, I see that you just added something. I'm paying attention to him now. You need to add a message, to let people know, people who's working on the project with you, you need to let them know what is the change that you just made on there. And if you want to do that, you need to do git restore. I mean, if you want to go back, do a git restore to go back. But if not, you need to do a git commit to go to the next step. So the next command here going to be git commit, and -m, that's where you are adding the message. Here, like, this is a message just to see how Git works. So whatever what you're going to add, or whatever what you're going to modify on that file that you just created, either you modify or whatever what you did, you need to add a message so that people will know exactly what you did, and they can either go back and reverse and change, when all that thing this happened. So at this point again, if I do another git status, we see the original message pretty much that we were having earlier. So like there's nothing that need to do. The message was added. The only thing that left here is just that we need to push that to the master branch at the moment. So to push it to the master branch, you need to do a git push just like that. And boom, automatically the project has gone and it's already being pushed to the main repository when we clone it in the first place. So if I close this and then I decide to refresh here, so we see that the file one was created, and it's even give us the time of when it was created, so that if somebody else is working on that project, he can always see, what was done and what need to be do next as we move it forward. So let's imagine, like, for some reason that this was like the first step of the project that was created here that is being pushed, and tomorrow we decide to come up with the second version of that project, like we are trying to better it, and uh, go with version 2. At this time, that version 2 that we are working on, we need to specify that we're not going to be on the same branch first, because the second version is going to be probably something that we are testing to be on this. That's what they're going to call like a different layer of branches. So the second branch is here, is something that we are testing. We need to get out and go to that second branch. And to do that, first, you need to create that branch by doing I think it's git branch. Git branch is going to be to see all the different branches that you have. So git branch is showing us like we have only one branch, and the star here is showing that our branch is on the master. So if you want to create your own branch, you do a git branch, and here we can do like a version 2. Maybe let's make it an easy name, that what we are working on now is going to be a version 2. So if we do a git branch again, we see that we have now the master branch first, and then we have the branch version 2 of the project that is going on. So for you to jump on that version 2, you need to do a checkout. Is it git checkout? Is it one word or git checkout, and then you do a version 2, and it's just telling you that he has switched to version 2. So if we do again a git branch here, we're going to see now the star is on version 2 now. So that means at the layer of version 2, that's where you can go ahead now, maybe, and create another file or either part of the project that we're going to call like a tool here, like this. And inside tool, we're going to say that we are just working, we are working on version 2 of the project. You save that. So here, if you do again a git statue here at the moment, it's showing that now it's seeing that on branch 2, we have a, something that is there. We see that is there, but Git, the local Git doesn't care about it yet. So the next thing, as we know, we use our second command, which is git add. And I was saying, if you had a lot of branches and you only want to mention just one, you can specify the name of whatever who you are adding. So if I do again a git statue, we see that now the branch 2 is being washed by git. And now if I do a git commit, and here I'm adding the message, working on let's say version 2 update or something like that, whatever what you do. But it will be better, usually most of the time you're going to be adding exactly what we did. Added a message maybe like a version 2. Whatever what message that you do is actually going to be like a good indicator of what you have been doing. And most of the time also, that message is probably going to be like maybe a bug. Like if you went there and there was a bug that you tried to fix, you're going to put the ID of that bug over here, so that when people are going to see it, they will know that, oh, whatever what you just did was referring to that bug, and they can go to the bug actually himself and see that, oh, this is what was the problem and this is how you solve it, or maybe in the for future reference of either whatever what you do. So at this point, since it was like that, you can do like a git, uh, depending of the environment of the company, all that's going to depend. So you can push it as the branch on that thing to those are not the thing that you're going to be defined. It's probably will be defined already in the company or the environment. So if I do a git push origin, I think it's gonna ask me for the origin, but here origin is supposed to be master and we never set up master as the origin. That's why it's asking us to set this message first. So and then branch origin remote, I think he has went to and it's on a new branch. So let's go on the website on the git. We're not going to see here because this branch that we are in here is going to be the branch for the master. So that's why you don't see that over here. But if I click down here and I scroll here, like we see, we have the second branch. As we open the second branch, now we see the modification, and it's been 1 minute ago, you know. So it's just like how it's gonna go. Like you can play around and try to see what all this thing is being configured and how it works and all that. So the more we play, the more we're going to get comfortable, and the more we're going to see exactly what is going on with all these things. So guys, this is what you need to set up and start to see what are all the different tools that you could be using to work in a company, in the environment with a lot of people on the team contributing on the same project. So it's a short video. Do that, have fun, and see you next time.